The young and the restless Spoilers Faith's desperation. Faith Newman sat in her room, the weight of her mother's disappearance pressing heavily on her chest. Days had turned into nights without answers, and the silence was deafening. Despite her father Nick's assurances that they were doing everything they could to find Sharon, Faith couldn't shake the feeling that time was slipping away, and so was her mother. That night, as she sat by her window, Faith felt something she couldn't explain, a pull, a whisper in the back of her mind, almost like someone was calling her name. It wasn't the first time she had felt this strange connection to her mother. It was faint but insistent, like an invisible thread tugging her towards something. Her thoughts wandered to the past, to a dark time when Cameron Kirsten had kidnapped her mother. Faith remembered the stories Sharon had told about a hidden location, an underground place where Cameron had once taken her. Could it be possible? Could Sharon be trapped there again? Driven by a mix of fear and hope, Faith made a decision. She grabbed a flashlight and a jacket, slipping out of the house quietly. She didn't want to tell her father, he would never let her go alone. But this was something she needed to do, something she felt she was meant to do. The hidden lair, the old, abandoned property wasn't far, but every step Faith took felt like a mile. Her heart raced as she approached the entrance to the hidden underground chamber she had heard about in whispers. It was eerie and quiet, but there was something unusual, something that didn't belong. The door to the chamber wasn't rusty or forgotten as she had imagined. Instead, it was locked tightly, and the area around it was unervingly clean. A faint glow seeped through the cracks of the heavy metal door, indicating that someone was using this place. Faith hesitated, her flashlight trembling in her hand. She called out, her voice shaky but loud, "Hello? Is anyone down there?" Sharon hears her daughter in the depths of the chamber. Sharon's head snapped up at the sound of the voice. Her heart pounded as she recognized it immediately. It was Faith. "Faith!" Sharon shouted, her voice hoarse but filled with hope. She scrambled to her feet, her chains clinking as she pulled against them. "Faith, it's me. I'm here. Help me." Faith's heart leapt at the sound of her mother's voice. She ran to the door, her hands pressing against the cold metal. "Mom. I'm here. I'll get you out. Just hold on." Sharon's voice broke as she called back, "Be careful, Faith. Please. You have to call someone for help." But before Faith could respond, the sound of footsteps behind her sent a chill down her spine. Jordan's return. Jordan had arrived just in time to see a young girl crouched near the chamber door, yelling desperately. Her sharp instincts immediately recognized her as Faith, Sharon's daughter. A sinister grin spread across her face. Well, Jordan said softly, stepping closer. "What do we have here?" Faith turned, her eyes wide with fear. She tried to scream, but Jordan was faster. In one swift motion, she covered Faith's mouth with her hand, stifling the sound. "Shoo," Jordan whispered, her voice cold and threatening. "We wouldn't want to disturb your mother now, would we?" Faith struggled, but Jordan was strong. The girl's efforts quickly became futile as the world around her began to blur. Jordan had pressed a cloth against Faith's face, and the faint chemical smell filled her senses. Faith's body went limp, her vision fading into darkness. A mother's nightmare inside the chamber. Sharon's screams grew frantic as she heard the muffled scuffle outside. "Faith! Faith, no," she cried, yanking at her chains with every ounce of strength she had. Moments later, the heavy door creaked open, and Jordan stepped inside, dragging Faith's unconscious body behind her. She dropped the girl unceremoniously onto the cold floor, her chains rattling as she secured Faith next to her mother. Sharon's eyes filled with tears as she looked at her daughter, now as much a prisoner as she was. "You monster!" Sharon spat, her voice trembling with rage. "She's just a child. Let her go." Jordan chuckled darkly, brushing her hands off as if she had just completed a mundane chore. "Oh, Sharon," she said mockingly. "You didn't think I'd let her waltz in here and ruin everything, did you?" Now, you'll both stay here, nice and quiet, until I decide what to do with you. Sharon glared at her, her maternal instincts roaring to life. You won't get away with this, Jordan. Nick will find us. He'll come for us. Jordan's smile faltered for a brief moment, but she quickly regained her composure. Nick can search all he wants, she said, her tone icy. By the time he gets close, it'll be too late. Faith wakes up hours later, Faith stirred, her head pounding and her vision blurry. The first thing she saw was her mother's tear-streaked face hovering over her. Mom? Faith whispered weakly. What happened? Sharon pulled her daughter close, her chained hands trembling. It's okay, baby. I'm here. We're going to get out of this, I promise. Faith looked around, her fear returning as she took in their surroundings. That woman, she grabbed me. Who is she? Why is she doing this? Sharon hesitated, unsure of how much to tell her daughter. She's a dangerous person, Faith. But we're going to be okay. Your dad will find us. Faith nodded, her resolve strengthening despite her fear. We'll find a way, Mom. Together. The stakes are raised. Jordan watched the reunion from a distance, her arms crossed and her expression unreadable. Faith's arrival was an inconvenience, but it also gave her leverage. Now she had Sharon's daughter, and with that, her power over the situation grew exponentially. As the dim light flickered in the chamber, Sharon and Faith clung to each other, their bond unbroken despite the chains that bound them. They knew one thing for certain: escape wasn't just a hope, it was a necessity. And they would fight for it with everything they had. To be continued. This chapter heightens the stakes, emphasizing the emotional bond between Sharon and Faith while showing the growing danger posed by Jordan. The tension sets the stage for a dramatic and desperate attempt at rescue. Faith's risky move. Faith had underestimated the danger she was walking into. Desperation and her determination to save Sharon clouded her judgment. She didn't stop to call Nick or even send a message before heading to the hidden chamber. She believed she could do this on her own, driven by the love for her mother and the hope of bringing her back. What Faith didn't know was that Jordan had a well-thought-out system in place. Hidden cameras were installed around the property, their feeds linked directly to her phone. The moment Faith approached the entrance, Jordan's phone buzzed with an alert. Sitting at a nearby cafe, Jordan glanced at the notification. Her sharp eyes narrowed as she watched the live feed showing a young girl, Faith, calling out for Sharon. Fury boiled within her, but her lips curled into a cold smile. Well, looks like I have a visitor. Without wasting another moment, Jordan rushed back to the chamber. She wasn't about to let Faith ruin her carefully laid plans. Jordan's cold calculations. When Jordan arrived at the chamber, her timing was impeccable. She caught Faith just as she was calling out for Sharon, leaving the girl no chance to escape. Now, as the mother and daughter sat chained together, their desperation and fear palpable, Jordan's expression was one of twisted satisfaction. Well, isn't this touching? Jordan said mockingly, pacing back and forth in front of them. A mother and daughter reunited. Too bad it's under such unfortunate circumstances. Faith glared at her, her fear overshadowed by her anger. You're a monster. Let us go. Jordan's laugh was sharp and biting. Let you go? Oh, sweet girl, I don't think you understand how this works. You came here, poking your nose where it didn't belong, and now you're in the same mess as your mother. Sharon, still chained but defiant, spoke up. Jordan, if you have any shred of humanity left, you'll let her go. She's just a child. She doesn't deserve this. Jordan turned to Sharon, her eyes cold. Oh, Sharon. Always the noble one. Always willing to sacrifice yourself for others. But it's not that simple. If I let her go, she'll run straight to Nick. And then what? My carefully laid plans fall apart? Jordan's chilling question. Jordan stepped closer to them, her expression darkening. She crouched in front of Sharon, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. So tell me, Sharon, do you want to die? Would you like to die with your daughter beside you? Or should I make her watch? Faith's breath hitched, her heart pounding in her chest. Sharon, however, didn't hesitate. She met Jordan's gaze with unwavering determination. Kill me, Sharon said firmly. But let Faith go. She's just a kid. She has her whole life ahead of her. Take my life, Jordan, but leave her out of this. Faith's eyes filled with tears. Mom, no. Don't say that. Sharon turned to her daughter, her expression softening. Faith, listen to me. You're going to be okay. Just be strong. Jordan rose to her feet, her arms crossed as she observed the scene. Her lips curled into a cruel smile. Touching. Truly. But you see, Sharon, killing you outright would be too easy. Too quick. No, I think I'll keep you both here for a while. Let Nick stew in his failure to find you. Let him suffer the way I've suffered. A mother's plea. Sharon's voice trembled with desperation, but her resolve didn't falter. If you're going to keep me here, fine. But let Faith go. Please, Jordan. She's innocent in all of this. Jordan tilted her head, feigning consideration. Innocent? Maybe. But she's also leverage. And leverage is far more valuable than innocence, don't you think? Faith, despite her fear, found her voice. You'll never get away with this. My dad will find us. He'll stop you. Jordan laughed again, the sound cold and hollow. Oh, I'm counting on it, sweetheart. Let him come. Let him try. The more he struggles, the sweeter my victory will be. The stakes are raised as Jordan's words echoed through the chamber, the reality of their situation sank in. Sharon and Faith were trapped, their lives hanging by a thread. But even in the face of such danger, Sharon's maternal instincts burned brightly. She would protect her daughter at any cost, even if it meant sacrificing herself. Jordan, meanwhile, reveled in her perceived control, her mind already spinning with ways to use her captives to her advantage. But in her arrogance, she underestimated the bond between mother and daughter, and the lengths Nick would go to save them.